Welcome, horror fans. Get ready for a chilling tale that will send shivers down your spine. In this story, you'll follow a group of friends as they explore a mysterious house that's said to be haunted. But what starts as a fun adventure quickly turns into a fight for survival as they are subjected to a series of jump scares that threaten to drive them to the brink of insanity. So buckle up and prepare for a suspenseful journey into the unknown. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more bone-chilling horror stories. It was a dark and stormy night. A group of friends had decided to explore an abandoned house on the outskirts of town. The old mansion had a reputation for being haunted, and the group was looking for a good scare. They parked their car in front of the house and stepped out into the pouring rain. As they made their way up the creaky old steps to the front door, they heard strange noises coming from inside the house. The door was unlocked, and they pushed it open, stepping into the darkened foyer. The rain beat against the windows, making it difficult to see. But what they could see was enough to send shivers down their spines. The walls were covered in peeling wallpaper, and the floorboards creaked with every step they took. The air was musty and damp, and a feeling of unease settled over the group. As they made their way through the house, they heard strange whispers and footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the house, and the group jumped in fright. They turned around to see a door slamming shut on its own. They ran towards the door, but it was locked tight. They were trapped in the room with no way out. As they searched for a way out, they heard the sound of footsteps coming closer and closer. Suddenly, a figure appeared out of nowhere, jumping out at them with a terrifying scream. The group screamed in terror and stumbled backwards, only to find that they were now in a different room. This kept happening again and again. Every time they thought they had found a way out, they would be met with a jump scare that would transport them to a new location within the house. The group was becoming more and more terrified with each jump scare, and they began to feel like they would never escape. Just when they thought all hope was lost, they stumbled upon a room with an old television set. The television flickered to life, and they saw a message written on the screen, "The only way out is through." Suddenly, a door opened up behind them, and they made a run for it. They found themselves in a long, narrow hallway with doors on either side. The jump scares continued, but this time they were more frequent and more intense. The group was becoming more and more desperate, and they were starting to lose hope of ever escaping the haunted house. Finally, they reached the end of the hallway, and they found themselves standing in front of a large wooden door. As they pushed it open, they were greeted by a blinding light, and they stumbled out into the rain. They turned around to see the old mansion disappearing into thin air behind them. The group was shaken and frightened, but they were alive. They knew that they had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. They got into their car and drove away, grateful to be out of the haunted house and alive. As they drove away, they could still hear the sound of the jump scares echoing in their minds. They knew that they would never forget the terrifying experience that they had just endured. But they also knew that they had survived, and that was something to be grateful for. As the group huddled together, trembling in fear, they heard a sound coming from the darkened hallway. It was a low, guttural growl that seemed to be getting closer and closer. Suddenly, a figure appeared out of nowhere and lunged towards them with lightning speed. Everyone screamed and scrambled to get away, but it was too late. One by one, the group was dragged away into the darkness by an unseen force. The only sounds that could be heard were their screams echoing through the halls. As I sat alone in the abandoned mansion, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The events of the previous night had left me shaken and unsure of what to expect next. I decided to explore the mansion in the daylight, hoping to find some clues as to what had happened to my friends. As I walked through the mansion's many rooms and hallways, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every shadow seemed to move, and every creaking floorboard sounded like someone was sneaking up on me. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I continued on. Suddenly, I heard a noise coming from the nearby room. It sounded like someone was whispering, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. I slowly approached the door, my hand trembling as I reached for the handle. As I pushed the door open, I was met with a sight that sent chills down my spine. A figure was standing in the center of the room, its face obscured by shadows. It slowly turned to face me, and I could see that its eyes were glowing with an otherworldly light. I tried to run, but the figure was too fast. It grabbed me by the arm and pulled me towards it, its grip like iron. I could feel my heart racing as it leaned in close to me, its hot breath on my face. Just as I thought it was going to attack, the figure suddenly disappeared into thin air. I was left standing alone in the room, my heart pounding and my mind reeling from what had just happened. As I continued my search of the mansion, I found more and more evidence of the supernatural forces that had taken hold of the place. Strange symbols scrawled on the walls, mysterious objects hidden in dark corners, and the occasional flicker of movement out of the corner of my eye. But as I delved deeper into the mystery, I began to realize that I was not alone in the mansion. Other people had come before me, drawn by the same dark forces that had brought me here. And as I tried to unravel the secrets of the abandoned mansion, I knew that I was walking a dangerous path. The jump scares and supernatural forces were just the beginning of something much more sinister, something that I might not survive. I continued my investigation of the mansion, searching for any clues that might help me understand what was happening. I came across a room filled with old books and manuscripts, and as I flipped through the pages, I found references to dark rituals and occult practices. It seemed that the mansion had been used by a secret society for these rituals, and that they had summoned some kind of malevolent force that now haunted the place. But why had they done this? And what did they hope to achieve? As I pondered these questions, I heard a sound coming from down the hallway. It was a strange, ethereal whispering, almost like the voice of someone speaking from beyond the grave. I cautiously made my way towards the source of the sound, my heart racing in my chest. As I turned the corner, I saw a group of figures standing in a circle, their eyes closed and their hands clasped together. They were performing some kind of ritual, their voices rising and falling in a strange, sing-song chant. And in the center of the circle, I could see a dark, shadowy figure slowly taking shape. I tried to run, but my feet wouldn't move. I was rooted to the spot, transfixed by the sight before me. And then, with a sudden burst of energy, the figure broke free of the circle and lunged towards me. I felt its cold, clammy hands closing around my throat, choking off my air supply. I struggled to break free, but it was too strong. I could feel my consciousness slipping away, my vision growing dim. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished into thin air. I lay there gasping for breath, my heart pounding in my chest. As I made my way back towards the entrance of the mansion, I realized that I had stumbled upon something far beyond my understanding. The dark forces at work in the mansion were more powerful than I could ever have imagined, and I knew that I needed to find a way to stop them before it was too late. But as I walked out into the bright sunlight, I realized that the nightmare was far from over. The mansion would continue to haunt me, even as I left it behind. And I knew that the dark secrets hidden within its walls would haunt me forever. In the end, I never found out what happened to my friends, or why they had been drawn to the abandoned mansion. But as I looked back on my experience, I knew that I had been changed forever. The jump scares and supernatural phenomena had opened my eyes to a world that I never knew existed, and I could never go back to the way things were before. So I vowed to continue my search for the truth, to delve deeper into the mysteries of the occult and the supernatural. And I knew that, one day, I would return to the abandoned mansion, to confront the dark forces that had taken hold of it, and to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within its walls. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me, watching me. Every time I turned around, I felt like I was being watched. My dreams were filled with the mansion and its horrors, and I woke up in cold sweats almost every night. I knew I needed to go back to the mansion. I had to confront my fear and find out what was really going on. So, I gathered my courage and drove back to the abandoned mansion. As I entered the mansion, I saw that it had changed. The air was thick and heavy, and a sense of dread filled my entire body. I could hear the whispers again, and I knew that I had to find the source of the sound. I followed the whispers, and they led me to a small room. As I entered the room, I saw an old book lying on a table. The book was ancient and looked like it had been there for centuries. I picked up the book and started flipping through the pages. The text was written in a language I couldn't understand, but I recognized the symbols. They were the same symbols that were drawn on the floor during the ritual I witnessed the last time I was here. Suddenly, I felt a chill run down my spine. I turned around and saw a shadowy figure standing in the doorway. It was the same figure that had attacked me before. I tried to run, but I felt something cold wrap around my ankle, pulling me back. I turned around and saw that the book was levitating in the air. The pages were flipping rapidly, and the symbols were glowing brighter and brighter. Suddenly, the room was filled with a blinding light. I felt like my eyes were on fire, and I screamed in agony. When the light finally faded, I saw that the mansion had changed again. The walls were covered in vines and moss, and the air was damp and musty. I knew that I was no longer alone in the mansion. Something was there with me, watching my every move. I tried to leave, but the door wouldn't budge. I was trapped, and I didn't know how to escape. As I walked down the hallway, I heard the whispers again. They were louder this time, and I could make out some of the words. They were words of summoning, words that called forth dark entities from beyond the veil. Suddenly, I heard a loud crash, and the floor beneath me gave way. I fell through the floor, landing in a dark, damp basement. The room was filled with cobwebs and dust, and I could see something moving in the shadows. As I tried to stand up, I felt a sharp pain in my leg. I looked down and saw that something had bitten me. The wound was bleeding profusely, and I knew that I had to get out of there before it was too late. I tried to run, but my leg was throbbing with pain. The room was getting darker and darker, and I could hear something coming towards me. I knew that I had to keep moving, but my body was failing me. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, everything stopped. The whispers ceased, and the darkness lifted. I was lying on the floor of the basement, but the wound on my leg was gone. I looked around and saw that the mansion had changed again. It was no longer abandoned and decrepit. Instead, it was restored to its former glory, and there were people walking around, laughing and talking. I didn't understand what was happening. I was confused and disoriented, but I knew that I had to get out of there. I stood up and walked towards the entrance, but the door was locked. And that's the end of our terrifying tale, Jumpscare, a terrifying tale of fear and survival. We hope you enjoyed this spine-chilling journey into the unknown and that it left you feeling thoroughly spooked. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more bone-chilling horror stories like this one. We have plenty more terrifying tales in store for you, so stay tuned. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the realm of the supernatural. Until next time, keep your doors locked and your lights on. Good night.